sings, or the author sings about the little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing a scripture verse. It gets me every time. Whew. So today is the last day of our series of talks that we've been doing on our guiding principles, which we read earlier, as you remember. We repeat them every week. And so it was summertime, so it seemed like it would be kind of a fun thing to go through them and really look at them, really explore them. Because not only are they valuable for us in leadership, because we designed them so that they would be kind of like our guiding principles as we make decisions about the center, moving the center forward. But they're also very effective for anybody who wants to live a spiritually based life, which is why we're talking about them. We've been talking about them for a couple of weeks now. The first one is we provide everyone the opportunity to discover and reveal their spiritual potential. And we explore the idea that each one of us has spiritual potential simply by the nature of the fact that we are God in expression. Each one of us is that God in expression, and each one of us has a potential, a reason for being here. And we also talked about the privilege of discovering this truth and the responsibility that we have to reveal it in our lives, in everything that we do. We talked about the idea that when we do this, when we express, when we reveal our spiritual potential, in other words, our thing that we came here to do, our gift to the world, shall we say, all of life is enhanced. Not just our lives. Just like Marjorie's beautiful reading. When we do what we came here to do, all of life is enhanced. The following week, the principle that we talked about was, by the example of our lives, we demonstrate self-responsibility, integrity, and intentional co-creation. By understanding that our life is our message. Gandhi said that when somebody said, "What do you stand for? What's your message?" And he said, "My life is my message." So because we know that, we took a look a couple of weeks ago at some really important questions about how we show up in life. Some of those questions are, am I walking my talk? Am I practicing what I preach? Am I living a life of integrity? And integrity does mean honesty, but it also means foundation. Am I living my life from a place of strong foundation? Can other people tell who I am and what I stand for by observing my actions? And finally, what kind of life am I co-creating? We are all co-creating with the divine. It's why we're here. But what kind of life am I co-creating? Is it one of intention, one of purpose? Or is it one of default? Like, oh, it's not my fault. Everything just happens to me. Victimhood. So going over those questions, it was thought-provoking, to say the least. Then last week, we talked about the guiding principle. Using science of mind principles, we create an awareness and demonstration of infinite possibility. And boy, did we have fun with this one. I realized it was on the long weekend. It was too bad because it was probably one of the most interesting and one of the funnest talks that I have ever had the privilege of giving, because we explored the concept of infinity. Like true infinity. And what we discovered was that we as humans can never really understand infinity because we have finite minds. And so infinity is like infinite. God, it's just too big, it's too immense for us to truly understand. We watched a couple of mind-blowing videos. Boy, were they good, about the vastness of the universe. And the videos really drilled that idea home. And after watching this, I mean, one of the videos showed the Hubble the Hubble telescope looking at a space of empty space for 10 days and seeing billions more galaxies and planets and stars. I mean, it was, and it could really give you an idea that maybe we're very small and insignificant. But then we discovered the idea that God or the cosmos or the universe or whatever you call it, it's all there is. That means that we're made of it. We're made of the same substance as it. We are part of it. Carl Sagan said in one of those videos, the cosmos is also within us. We are made of star stuff. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself. Think about that. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself, to breathe itself, to live itself. Therefore, we're not insignificant at all. We are important. We matter. And as a result, we have access to this limitless potential that is available to us all the time. It is available to us, but here's the kicker, and this is our teaching right here. We can only experience that limitless possibility to the extent that we are willing and able to embody it, to become it, to allow it, and accept it. Here's what our founder, Ernest Holmes, said. He said, "How much life, abundance, goodness, truth, and beauty can we mentally entertain? This is the measure of our possible experience. This is the mold of acceptance. The infinite fills all molds and flows forever into new and greater ones. It is the unborn possibility of limitless experience. We give birth to it." Who's excited?
Yeah!
Right? So, as I've said every week that we've been doing this, I could do a whole series of talks on just that one principle, and the week before, and the week before that. They are so rich, they are so meaty, and I just really have enjoyed diving into them. And today's is no exception. Today's is we welcome everyone as we create an inclusive community that evolves individual and global consciousness. We welcome everyone as we create an inclusive community that evolves individual and global consciousness. Now, one of the things that I hear most often when people come to our center for the first time, or any center for spiritual living for the first time, is that they love the idea that we honor all faiths and all religious traditions. They love, we sing the song One Power. They love that we stress unity and oneness versus separation, and our way is the only way. Because folks, I'm never going to, ever going to tell you what to think. I'm going to teach you how to think, and I'm going to encourage you to think, but I'll never tell you what to think. So many people tell me that, God, I thought I was the only one who felt this way. And then I discovered that there was a whole group of people who did that. Raise your hand if that was true for you. Yeah, when you found, we found our tribe. When we came in a door like this, we felt like we had come home. I hear that all the time from people. But the beauty of this is that in this big, giant, vast universe out there, there are lots of tribes, all coming under the umbrella of the one ultimate tribe of humanity. Individual tribes, because the truth is, each one of us is ultimately looking for the same thing. We are all of us yearning to experience that oneness with the divine, that oneness with the all and everything, that divine presence within us. That's what drives us, no matter what faith tradition we're in. The path that we choose is a matter of personal, individual choice. Is this making sense? Okay. And we are also very different than some of the other faith traditions who have a lot of rules and have prescribed ways of being. But we can't fault people who resonate with those faith traditions because that is their choice. It works for them. Which brings me to today's talk title, which is A World That Works for Everyone. I didn't make that phrase up. It's actually the vision statement of Centers for Spiritual Living. But if you really think about it, it is a vision of such massive proportions. Because we can all look around and we can see that the world is not working very well from a human perspective. On a spiritual perspective, everything is in divine right order. But that's another talk for another time. On a human level, there appears to be a lot of chaos and unruliness and war and anger and disagreement and poverty and cruelty and fear. So because we are a compassionate group of people, we create vision statements like a world that works for everyone. And we all climb on board, right? And then we all declare what we think a world that works for everyone should look like. Are you understanding this? So for those of us who are living in first world, prosperous nations like Canada and the US, a world that works for everyone is going to look like everyone having a roof over their head and a vehicle to drive and plenty to eat. Some people may say too much to eat. A computer, a cell phone, television, access to media, access to education and healthcare, and lots of choices. To us, that is a world that works for everyone. And we look at people in poor countries, or at least not advanced countries, and we're like, oh dear, look at them. There's something wrong. What can we do? And we try to figure out how to fix whatever's wrong so that it looks like what our interpretation of a world that works for everyone. And we don't ever consider that maybe it isn't broken. Maybe it's just different. Maybe the world is working for them. There's this wonderful cartoon. I'll read it to you in case you can't read it. It shows a group of what looks like African boys. And they're looking out over this vast expanse of land. And it says, the children in America are forced to spend over 8 hours sitting in classrooms. Then they're drugged when they move too much or make too much noise. And their primary source of entertainment is the television. And one says, that's horrible. We should take up donations for them. Now some of you rightly are thinking, but things in those countries are horrible. Conditions are horrible. They're insanitary. There's no education. There's no hope. And you would be right from your viewpoint, from your standard. But consider this. If we were to look at the living situation of the natives of North America 200 years ago, many of us first world people would be horrified. I mean, they lived in tents or mud structures. They had no permanent home. They traveled all over the country and they had to kill things to eat. There was no Safeway. There was no Indian Safeway. There was no medicine. They relied on herbs and berries to heal. They were savages. So in came the white man and obliterated their way of life. A life that was working for the natives. And they tried to replace everything with the white man's interpretation of a world that works for everyone. And as we know, the results have been less than stellar. Not only did it destroy beautiful, deeply spiritual, earth-honoring cultures, it introduced a different standard into those cultures. And it hasn't gone well, even after years, decades of trying to make it work. So maybe it wasn't broken. What would have happened if they just allowed the culture of the natives to live as they were and recognizing that it was working perfectly for them? Unfortunately, that story's been repeated over and over and over again through history, hasn't it? One culture, one religion feels that its way is superior to the others, and so they do everything they can to fix it and overtake it and convert it. You know, incidentally, it's the reason we have Christmas, folks. It's the reason we have Easter. You do know that Jesus was not actually born on December 25th, right? You do know that the early, oh God, I'm totally going, I'm on a tangent, what can I say? You do know that the early church wanted to take over the pagans and the earth-based traditions. And so they said, oh, well, okay, yeah, you guys like to party around, you know, the solstice? Okay, we'll make it our Savior's birthday. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, I'm going off on tangents, but it's true, okay? Because we don't have any thought. I'm not saying we, but what has happened is that people don't recognize that religions and cultures mean something to the people that they mean something to. And then we wonder why the world is a little bit screwy. Could it be that too many people are trying to pass their version of what's right and wrong to other people, rather than allowing and tolerating and even celebrating the differences? So you might be wondering what this has to do with our vision statement or with our guiding principle. We welcome everyone as we create an inclusive community that evolves and individual and global consciousness. Because when we can understand and embrace this idea of accepting and tolerating the differences, then we are participating in the evolution of consciousness that's needed to truly make a world that works for everyone. When we practice tolerance and acceptance, we are participating in conscious evolution. Here's what Ernest Holmes had to say. Love begets tolerance, and tolerance begets understanding, which is being able to put oneself in the other person's place and see why he acts as he acts, why he does what he does. Thus, love can create a better world in which to live. It is the one power which can and must bring peace to a changing world. So my job, our job, is to help create an inclusive community right here in the center, right here in Canada. One of the things that I really love about Canada is how diverse it is. Just blew me away. I did not know that when I moved here, folks. I've been to Vancouver a few times, and it's a really cool, diverse place, but I didn't know about how diverse Canada was throughout, particularly in the cities. So open to cultural and religious differences. It blew my mind. I gotta tell you, I mean, to someone like me, who came from the suburbs of California, to see a woman with her head completely covered, sitting next to a man in a turban, sitting next to somebody in traditional African or Indian garb, it's mind-blowing. I mean, even the beloved mayor of Calgary is a first-generation Muslim, right? This place is truly the melting pot of diversity and tolerance. It is a great illustration of how to create and live in a diverse and tolerant community. Canada is at the forefront of conscious evolution, whether they know it or not, whether it calls it or not. Because if you think about this, conscious in this context means on purpose or with an awareness and intention and awakening. And evolution means development, fruition, growth, progress, and advancement. So when you say on purpose development, on purpose fruition, awareness and growth of progress and advancement, that's what we're talking about here. Ernest Holmes said this: the awakening is a process of evolution, a little here and a little there, until the whole eye is opened. And we see that life is neither separate from God nor different from good. Life is God, and good is the only power there is or can be. So you guys, Canada's choice to embrace people of different cultures and religions and traditions and ways of life is promoting conscious evolution. Give yourselves a hand. It is an illustration of evolving a world that works for everyone. And so here we are, part of the Calgary Center for Spiritual Living, long tradition here. Center's been here over 40 years. We have some people here in our center who have actually been part of the center for over 40 years. So here we are, we're proclaiming ourselves to be an inclusive community that evolves individual and global consciousness. So I would like you to think about this week, how am I living this principle? How am I promoting the evolution of consciousness? How am I modeling what it is we're talking about? Chances are, because you're already part of this community, you're already doing a pretty good job of it, let's face it. I want to close with a quote from Gary Zukav, the author of Seed of the Soul. He wrote, "The requirements for our evolution have changed. Survival is no longer sufficient. Our evolution now requires that we develop spiritually, to become emotionally aware and make responsible choices. It requires us to align ourselves with the values of the soul: harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life." Now that is evolving individual and global consciousness. I'm very privileged to be here and to give a talk like this. Thank you very much. And so